Love when I can see. So much better. Okay, now we can see. So we're on session 3 of the Future Leader Program, and this is all about host coaching. And like I said, hopefully you all have your handouts here. I'm going to start sharing my screen so that we can take a look at some things, the whys of host coaching and then the hows of host coaching. And hopefully you'll get a couple of really key ideas that you can put into use this week. That's really my goal for you right now, is that you find things that you can do this very week with your very next party that will change the trajectory of your business. That's what I'm really after here. So, all right, here we go. Let's see if I can get this the way I want it. Okay. I'm trying to get these, I'd love to get these slides as actual slides rather than a PDF, but for right now we have the PDF. So, whoops, and now it's not moving. There we go. Okay, so I would love to hear, first of all, how was your week this past week? Any big progress? What was a fun thing that happened that you were excited about? Who wants to share? Love to hear. Something in particular.
This is Shanna. Can you hear me?
Hi, Shanna. Yes.
Hi, Betsey. How are you?
Great.
I was at a different grocery store than I usually go to, and I was on the phone with Maya, and a lady loved my bracelet, and I ended up going to her work and buying some makeup because she worked at a Clinique counter at Ulta, and I just had lunch with her on Friday, and she's going to join our team on Thursday. So she wants to be a part of it, so I'm excited. So go to different grocery stores because then you'll see different people.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It'll be fun to help her get started. Who else?
I had a really good event Tuesday and had good sales. Got a couple of dated bookings and some more interest, and also a strong sponsor lead.
Wow, that feels really good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Good. Congratulations. Who else? Anybody else? I had one back on Monday. I did a party with someone who actually used to be on our team a while back, and I had reached out to her a little while ago to see if she wanted to wear some of my jewelry while we were in Alaska, and work on getting some orders. And she wore my jewelry for a week. It drummed up interest, and when I got back from Alaska and she was giving the jewelry back, she asked to book a date. So that party was this past Monday, and one of the guests kept saying, "What do I do if I like all of it?" And sometimes the best answer to that is to say nothing at all and let it play out for a few minutes and see what else she says. And so by the time we were done, we had talked about the business opportunity, she and I, and she decided that she was going to join, and she wanted to launch in the middle of November. And I said, "Well, what days of the week are you available for your launch party?" She said, "Oh, pretty much any Thursday and any Sunday." And I said, "Well, how about this Sunday?" And so she said, "Well, isn't that kind of soon?" And I turned to my friend Jen and I said, "Jen, how many days did it take us to plan this party?" She said, 5. And I said, "Kelly, this party, that's 6 days from now. We could totally pull it off." She said, "Okay." So her launch party was today. And I just met her back on Monday. And and she will definitely easily get to $1,000 by Tuesday or into early Wednesday and close out her party. So, you just never know when you go to a party. It's not usually quite that simple. It's usually more of a process, but it's kind of fun when you get, someone who's like, "Oh my gosh, I can totally do this." So it's kind of nice when that happens. So that was one of my fun things. Okay, so let's talk about, yeah, it's pretty crazy. So tonight we're going to talk about how you go from okay host coaching to awesome host coaching. We will commit ourselves to doing host coaching, which is as opposed to just checking in. We're going to talk about the importance of getting the host buy-in, and I'm going to show you a way of looking at this through story. The host coaching system And then we'll talk about the action steps. And the host coaching system is actually pretty simple. I have my own host coaching system, but I'm going to use what the company is giving us because I want to be really duplicatable. Okay, so let's take a look at, and again, they don't number my slides for me, so I have no idea what page I'm on ever. So remember back to our booking training when we talked about the ideal party and the Fab 40 formula, because in an ideal party, we invite 40 guests to make sure that we have 8 to 10 buying guests at each party, which leads to 3 people that you could learn to invite, or learn that you could invite to learn more about the business, maybe on a training call Monday night, for example, 2 new bookings and potentially a new consultant. And with effective host coaching, we can influence the first 2 ingredients in this formula. It's the invited guests and the party attendance. So let's take a look at some of these answers here. Host coaching is the answer to, and you can pull out your participant worksheet number 1 if you'd like to follow along and fill in the blanks. It's the answer to more sales, more parties, more repeat hosts, which is a really important component of your business going forward, more referrals to other friends, more consultants, and because you want to be a leader, right? And so you can fill in some of that, and also to make more money yourself. So in order to do those things, we need to do more intentional host coaching as opposed to just checking in. Some things to remember. A great party starts the day that your host says, I do. And I do like this analogy of the game because it is something that all that practice really does actually give you the results that you want in the game. Here's something I just want you to think about for a minute. Think back to the last party that you did. Did I do everything I could have to make sure it was a great party for me and my host? Think about that for just a minute. And if you want to, in the next 15 seconds, write down what you wish you had done before the party to influence a different outcome. What do you wish you could have done or might have done differently? Did anyone write something down that maybe host coaching might have helped? Anybody have any thoughts about that? Something they might have done differently the last time? Well, let's talk about what's in it for your host. So every host pretty much wants 3 key things, and this is a very important component. She wants 3 things from her party, aside from her why. She wants her friends to have a great time. She doesn't want her friends to feel pressured to buy. And she probably wants her to earn some beautiful free jewelry. She wants her friends to have fun, doesn't want her friends pressured, and wants to earn some jewelry. And interestingly, it all starts with host coaching. So the kinds of things that are in it for the host. When we are working with her, we show her we care. We help to make it a little easier on her so that mentally she's not trying to figure out how all of this works. And that's really important because if we can keep her comfortable and keep her excited because we're in this with her as her partner, she's more likely to keep her date and not cancel. And she's more likely to have people at the party, which leads to more sales and more free jewelry. So she gets everything in it that she's going to want. And it also shows the host that we take our business seriously. And that's always good. And of course, what's in it for us, we talked about that. Increased attendance and excitement. It does reduce our postponements. Hostesses who are working alongside of us are far less likely, because of the relationship, to actually cancel that party or postpone it. But if we barely talk to her, we're far more likely to end up with her changing the date because she doesn't feel a real tie-in to us. So how do we host coach for awesome results? There's a 4-point system that the company talks about, and it's 4 different time frames. The first one is at the party, or when it is that she says she'll like to do the party. It's a couple days later. It's several days before the party happens, and then it's 1 day before the party. These are the critical junctures. And there may be others as well, and that's okay. But think about this. So you can look at participant worksheet number 3 if you want to keep taking notes on this. So point of contact, maybe let's pretend you have booked it at a party, right? And let's see here. Sorry, they're giving me slide information, but I can't see what my slides are here. Okay, so let's pretend that you just did a party a few minutes ago, and one of the last guests to leave is booking a party with you. You want to take a couple minutes, if you possibly can, to have your first host coaching session with her right there at the party, if you can. And there are 5 key things that you can actually try to go over with her face-to-face. And it is kind of nice because then she starts to feel like you've got a plan and she can trust you. You want to pick the date, time, and the theme. You could discuss how you're going to invite people. And you can also discuss when is her guest list due to you. I know some consultants who ask the new hostess to get her guest list to herself, the consultant, before this current hostess closes out her party so that it, quote, counts for her 70% off piece. I know people who do that. You can take whatever approach you want to, but you're going to talk about how to invite people and about her guest list. The third part is give her the host packet. And we'll talk in a minute about what could be in the host packet. Friend her on Facebook, if she's on Facebook, and then tell her to expect the host connection email from you, and then ask her to make sure she completes that wish list. There are a lot of people in the industry who say that if you have a guest list and a wish list, then you've got a party. If you have a guest list and a wish list, then you've got a party. And you know, when you think about it, if she's that tied in to give you a guest list and to complete a wish list, she's probably not going to cancel. Okay. So selecting a date, a time, and a theme. These are a couple of quick ideas about this side of it. A booking is not a booking without a date. How many times have I walked out from a party and said, hey, I got 2 parties, but I don't have any dates. We want to reduce the chance of her changing her mind by scheduling the date right away. Maybe it's the special sparkle dates. Again, I was able to help Kelly choose a date that was only 6 days away, because, there were some special incentives by getting her party closed by the end of October rather than waiting until November. I did not create them. I just simply used the guest special or the sales incentive for the $1,000, when she gets 70% off everything in the spring catalog. Select a time for that party when you think most guests will be able to make it. Sometimes new hostesses have no idea when they should do a party, and they might say something really bizarre like, Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. That would never work in most circles, for example. And then give her some fun little ideas to generate her own excitement for that theme. Okay, you're going to decide the invitation method and when the guest list is due. Host packet. You could put in these kinds of things in the host packet. Maybe it's 2 catalogs, 5 order forms for outside orders, 10 blank invitation postcards, a host brochure, a sparkle brochure, success brochure. And then if you happen to have them on hand, a copy of the host and guest specials flyer. Now, one of your participant worksheet number 4 is the Touchstone Crystal Party Tic-Tac-Toe. And this might be something that you will like the looks of, and you could actually use this as a way of engaging your hostess and getting her to do some really cool things, like attend an opportunity call or have $150 in outside orders before your party. And she could get a charm, she could get free host shipping, she can get a special gift if she does all of these things. But, sometimes having a visual like this can be really useful. Honestly, for me, I have never used this, but I'd be really interested in trying it for my next couple of hosts just to see if I can actually get a little farther with outside orders and increasing her buy-in to this whole party. Okay, obviously we know how to become Facebook friends, but we don't want to rely on Facebook alone. That's super important for all of her inviting. And then, of course, we know how to set up the host connection and get that out to her right away. You could even do that. If there's a couple minutes at the party, you could even get her set up in the back office and send that to her while she's even at the party if you want to. It just depends on how crazy busy the party is. So 3 goals at the party coaching: guest list, wish list, the concept of those things, and the host buy-in. Okay? All right. And we talked about why the guest list is so important, why the wish list is so important. And I want to share this with you. This is kind of neat. Getting the host buy-in with a short little visualization exercise. So as we said before, every host wants 3 things from her party. She wants her friends to have a great time. She doesn't want her friends to feel pressured to buy. And she wants to get some jewelry. Let me share with you a really neat visualization that you can use, that you can say to her. So listen while I share this with you. And this is what you would say. So Beyonce is my new host, and I say, Beyonce, I want to make sure that I'm on the same page as you. You know, most of my hosts want 3 key things from their party. They want their friends to have fun, like we did tonight. They don't want their friends to feel pressured to buy, right? And they want to get some really pretty jewelry, right? Does that sound about right? And let her say, yes, of course. Okay, I can make sure that all those things happen. And I want you to imagine it's the night of your party. There are 3 people in your living room. It's kind of quiet. There's not a whole lot of laughter going on. Now imagine it's the night of your party, and there are 15 people in your living room. Everyone is talking and laughing, and I can barely get a word in edgewise. Which party do you think your friends are having more fun at? And let her respond. Well, which party do you think your friends will feel less pressured to buy at? Right? Pretty good question. Which party do you think you'll get more free jewelry from? And then you say, good. So how do you feel about getting 15 people in your living room? And then you say all of it with a smile on your face so that she understands that we're not trying to manipulate. We're just trying to help her to see the difference in how we help her reach her goals. This script, by the way, is on participant worksheet number 5. So if you want to let this sink in a little bit, you're welcome to do that, because I have thought about this and I've used it in my own words many times in the past with hosts, so that she, in sort of in different ways, so that she understands, excuse me, what my point is. And so that she sees not only how it's going to feel for her, but how it's going to feel for them. Okay, so 3 days later, you can pull the participant worksheet number 6. So the next point of contact with the host is maybe 3 days later when you follow up on her guest list. Now, maybe by this time she's actually put some names into the back office. And, you want to maybe double check to see how many she's invited to the Facebook event page. If she's only added 12, ask her if there's some way that we can find more names to add. Perhaps she's actually put 30 in the email list in the back office. And you can help her review different groups of people that she might not have considered. So we're going to use a couple different ways to make sure we get RSVPs, because not everybody watches Facebook. And these days the algorithms on Facebook are really not in our favor when it comes to these events. It's really been a pain. But so email comes into play. Honestly, I really love text. I also love Facebook private message that links back to the original event page, or to the Facebook event page too, or both. And so this is the kind of thing that we just want to make sure that we've got everything lined up with her, that she understands that when we invite 30 to 40 different people using 2 different methods that we are agreeing on, that she's more than likely going to have a really good party. So that's important. And then see if you can get that wish list out of her. And you might even make it kind of simple. If she's kind of dragging her feet on it, say, hey, real fast, what are your 5 favorite things in the catalog, so that I can keep a note of those in one way or another. And then you can continue to post on our Facebook page about those items every couple of days. Honestly, as the party approaches, like the week before the party, I get pretty active on her Facebook event page, and I ask her to do a little bit of posting also. I make sure that I've got at least 1 post a day, maybe 2. Okay. Contact number 3 is 3 or 4 days before the party, and this is actually the most important part, because this is where now she's got a whole bunch of no's and very few yeses, right? And so we want to help her get more RSVPs. We want to help her make sure that she's reaching one by one all these different people. So, there are the techniques to use when making reminder calls or text. You can do the whole drink order idea. She can give her friends a text message. I'm wondering if you're able to come to the party and to know what wine you prefer, red or white. I'm running out tomorrow to pick it up. Want to make sure I have enough of everyone's favorites. Something along those lines. And then you can ask her about how many outside orders she's received. Some women really need that verbiage on how to ask about outside orders, how to ask about potential bookings. This is a good time to say to her, for every party that gets booked, you're going to be able to chip away at your guests at your wish list with more 70% off pieces. Who can you think of? Has anybody said anything to you so far about wanting to book a party with me after all this is over? And so, you can have this discussion with her so that she understands how it impacts her. And that outside orders count toward her total. You can also invite her to the next opportunity call, like the following Monday. That's up to you. I've actually never done it quite like that before, but I don't see that as a bad idea at all. Okay, the day before the party, that's the last time you're going to talk to her before her party, unless you catch up with her an hour ahead. And, maybe you can help her get a few more outside orders, find out what her guest count is looking like. This is where I really like to make sure that she's doing those last-minute text messages. But at the same time, because a lot of times people can't come until the very last minute and are afraid to say that they're coming because they they feel like it's, impolite to just show up at the last minute. And so these are the kinds of things that we can reassure her about. And you know what? Even if she says, I've only got 3 people coming, make the most of it. You never know where it's going to lead. I've had some 3 guest parties that have been fantastic. And then the host ends up getting a few outside orders, but most of all, we want her to feel encouraged and to feel like we have her undivided attention and admiration and appreciation no matter what, okay? Honestly, the only way that I would cancel is if she literally has one person and it's her mother. And, or, her aunt who lives in the basement or whatever. I mean, we all have those stories, and that might be when we might say no. It's okay. We can try for another date or something like that. But for the most part, I don't do that. Okay, pre-guest arrival. So we want to make the most of the time with the host before the guests arrive to get to know her better. I know some people who actually go to the party about an hour ahead. I honestly don't do that. I tend to go, I try to get there about 30 minutes ahead, partly because I don't want it to be a big deal for me to show up and have this big long setup. Or act like there's a big long setup. And so you can gauge how you want to handle it, but the key is to set it quickly. And again, that goes back to, how are we carrying our jewelry? How are we setting it up? Because this is a people business, and we want to get to know our host even better, especially in our own home, because that's where we're really going to figure out some of the really more interesting details about, sort of the making the most of the party. Things like who might be interested in booking a party? Who among your friends that's coming do you think would be good at doing what I do? Is there anybody, like that you can think of? Anybody that I should be looking out for in particular? Maybe she's a real jewelry girl. She's a fashionista. You think she'd be a great hostess or consultant. Those are the kinds of things. And I might also say, or I pretty much always say, and you know what? I don't know if you're still thinking about doing this or if you're considering doing what I do, but watch what I do tonight. Maybe you'll decide that this actually is something that you could picture yourself doing, and then we can talk about it at the end. So host coaching is not the same as checking in. Like, here's your packet, 2 days before the party, ready to go? How many are coming? Assuming that she knows what she's doing. We want to provide encouragement leading up to the party in the form of practical help. Now, one thing I want to say, and this is deviating from the script, is that there are a couple of types of people that are really hard to hostess coach. One type is family members and close friends, because they're not going to believe you. And so it's fair to say to family members and close friends, listen, I'm learning how to host coach. I need you to be my guinea pig. Would you let me coach you exactly the way that I want to coach my other hostesses that I don't know very well, and have you do things the way that I ask you to so that I can learn how it all works? See if you can get her to buy in. You just need to put on your consultant hat with her, as opposed to the sister hat or the daughter hat or the friend hat or the mother hat, okay? And just bill it, pass it off as training that you need. The other kind of a person who I find is really hard to coach is someone who is with another direct sales company.
Yes.
Because typically they think they know exactly how to do it. Actually, there are 3 different types of people that are hard to host coach. And the second one is somebody in a direct sales company. They have their own methods for doing it. And so you have to get them to buy in on how we do this. So, and asking them to set aside what they're used to, because you have a different way of doing it. One thing that I find is really helpful is to ask the hostess with another company, what constitutes a good party in your eyes? Tell me what a good party looks like, and listen to her description. Because if she says, oh, you know what, a great party is like 3 people, maybe 4, and we all just sit around for 4 or 5 hours and play with the product line or whatever. You're listening for clues that will allow you to say to her, I have a couple of ideas and I wonder if you'd work with me on this, and launch into the idea that $1,000 party is going to get her a large portion of her wish list, and that's 8 to 10 buying guests. Would she be willing to come up with a list that will get us 8 to 10 buying guests at the party? Would she be willing to do it that way? And see what you can get. The third type of hostess that's really hard to coach is the perennial hostess, the one who hosts parties for every single product line. And here's why. It's because she's probably gotten it down to 4 or 5 key friends who come to everything, and that's it. And in that case, it's really good to say, so tell me about the last couple parties that you did. How did they go? What was it like? And so if she says, oh, they went great, that's not enough information. I want to know, what kind of sales did you have? How many friends came? How much in free whatever, product did you end up with? Because we want to make sure that we're setting her up for what we consider to be great, not what she considers to be great. Does that make sense? So these are some important things, and this is where asking questions of our host when we're first getting started with her can be really helpful. So watch out for the close friend and the family member. Watch out for the person who's with another direct sales company and already does parties, and also sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not. And then watch out for the one who's always hosting the parties because her standards may have slipped. Okay. Let's see. All right, so we're done on that. So there are some host coaching training videos, and there are also some really good text messages that Amy Quinzer came up with that she allows her hosts to use, and then she sends them to her host in that 2, 3, or 4 day mark. One of them goes to the people who she hasn't heard from yet. One of them goes to the yeses and the maybes, and that's typically how I work it as well. Because I want to make sure that I give her the text messages that she'll need to effectively reach out to people and confidently. A lot of people a lot of us are not wordsmiths, and we really need assistance with giving people the kinds of verbiage that they need in those moments that feel kind of squishy. They're not the consultant, we are. And so you can use some of the text messaging general ideas. Amy is very touchy-feely in the way she writes. She's very sugary in the way she texts people. It's just her very tender heart and loving personality. That might not be you. So you might not put kissy face all over it and hard heart and all that. That's okay. Do it the way that you need to do it and tailor it so that it works for your hostess. But I am finding that it's really helpful to give the verbiage for the yeses and maybes, as well as something for the ones that they haven't heard from. Okay. All right. Let me see if I think I covered it all. So what does this make you all think of? Any ahas or anything that you'd like to add?
Well, can you talk a little bit more about, I'm still pretty new to this company, but I have had quite a few parties, but I'm going to be honest, there's a couple of things that I'm not doing or getting. One is the guest list. and the wish list. I've asked the hostesses to do a wish list. I think I had one do a wish list, but nobody else does it. So,
Yeah.
and then what do you do with the guest list? Is it just so they have the exercise of doing the guest list, or
Yeah, I
can
think
you go into
so.
more detail on those two? Because honestly, I haven't been doing either one of those.
Yeah, I think the wish list is partly to keep her motivated, and to actually get that out of her can be really hard if she's just running, crazy in life in general. But sometimes I'll say, I want to make sure that I have some of those pieces with me at your party. Also, I want to be sure to highlight some of those pieces in the inviting process. And that's what I'll say, even if you can come up with 5 things that you particularly have your eye on that you want to make sure you're getting for free, I want to know what those things are, so that it's not like some long process,
And do you have them do it in the system, or like maybe write it down and send you a picture? Or
Honestly, I like when they just scribble it on a piece of paper and send it to me, because it's easier for me to see it. If it's in the back office, I'm far less likely to even know that it's there in the first place. I've had hostesses say to me, "But Betsey, I put it on my wish list. Didn't you see?" I'm like, I didn't see it, because it doesn't tell us that it's there. The system doesn't say, "Hello, your hostess put her wish list in." We have no way of knowing.
And then how about the guest list? When do you expect the guest list?
And that's
again,
like a harder thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to encourage inviting at least 40 people, but I've seen people like have their names scribbled out, but I've never asked people to
scribbled
give it
out.
to
You know
me.
what? And this is again where I don't like to make things too complex and too formal. There are some consultants who do. I tend to get them to try to use either the host brochure, where they can do that, and they snap a picture of it and send it to me, just so I can see. And then I can say, "Oh, wait, did we hear back from Susan? Did we hear back from Sharon yet?" So that I'm trying to help her stay on top of who we heard back from, who we didn't hear from, so that I'm collaborating with her. I don't want to make her mad. I don't want to we have to be careful in that, but it's so that we can make sure that it's getting done at all, or at least that she's thinking about it. Most often where I see the guest list is when she does inviting on Facebook. When I create that Facebook event and I add her as the co-host, and I say, "Okay, now's your turn. Add 35 to 40 people."
Right. Well, I do see
that.
that. So, I mean, if you're counting that, then I guess I'm getting that. But
you probably are. And then that way we can go down that list with her, several days beforehand, and go, "Okay, we haven't heard from her, and her. These 5 gals, can you send here's the text message to send them, or the Facebook message."
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good point to more actively manage the Facebook, who's responded and who hasn't, who's seen it and who hasn't. So that's a good point.
It isn't easy though, because a lot of times they're taking that link that we give them, that's direct to their party for RSVPs and for shopping, and they're texting it to their friends too. So sometimes there are people that, maybe they've got 25 on Facebook, but they've got 15 others that they're actually text messaging, and we know nothing about them. There's really no way of controlling it all. And then they're handing out some postcards to their neighbors or people at work. It's a loose science.
Okay.
It's more of an art than anything else.
Betsey, I have a question.
Sure.
I think with me, it's a lot of times it's timing, because I might book these parties 6 weeks ahead of time. So it's like, should we go ahead and do all this initial stuff at that point?
Yeah, I would.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. I really would, honestly. Yeah, I absolutely would. We are less likely to have them cancel if we're diving in and at least doing a save the date on Facebook, for example.
Yep.
Or in the Evite to people, so that they start saving the date. People can one of the reasons that I tell her this is because your friends can start shopping tomorrow, and they'll get their jewelry right away.
True.
And that all counts toward your party.
So how do you keep them excited and kind of,
I don't.
involved for the whole 6 weeks. It's like,
I don't worry about that part too much. I try to do the quick, oh, the party is on December 7th, or 6 weeks from now, and save the date, that kind of thing. And we get a little quick, pop of yeses. And then maybe once a week for a couple of weeks, I'll post something on that Facebook event wall, or I'll send it out another Evite email to, if she's put those guest names in there and email addresses, once a week, just to keep it in people's minds. And then during that 8 days or so ahead of time, I start, hitting it hard.
okay.
Then it's more imminent. But I really do, if someone's determined that it's not going to be for 6 weeks, I really want the date out there for their friends. I want them invited. I want the guests. I want her wish list. I want it going.
So you're actually setting in a Facebook event and everything up.
Yep, right away. I really do. She's far less likely to cancel. Her friends will start saying yes, and some of them will shop.
I think that's probably an area that I've been lacking in, because I have 2 parties for later on this month in November, and I haven't set them up yet. I've been reaching out to them saying, hey, just want to confirm we're still good. And so had I already set them up, I'd probably been in better shape. So
we all learn.
Yeah.
I struggle there too, Sherry. I tend to wait too late, I think, to get my hostesses their invite.
Oh, I've done that.
Because, if you were like 2 weeks out, then you'd want to go ahead and get it all going. But I'm thinking 6 weeks, I really want to start it that far, but okay.
Right.
Good.
Yep. I would throw it out there. I mean, unless it's 3 months from now. But honestly, when we start booking January, like in another 2 weeks, 10 days, we will all be talking about January. So get ready. And those January parties, we're going to want those save the dates out there right away. 1st of December.
Traditionally struggled with January parties, so we'll see how it goes.
We will all work on it together. But if we have dates on the calendar, we will, as much as possible, we will want to put those invitations out there.
Okay.
Hi, Betsy. This is Shanna. I have a comment to make too. I booked a salon party and it's not till December 10th, but I created the invite within booking the party to let her know that I could do that for her. So it's great for them to know that we provide that for them. And our invitations are so easy and so beautiful. And I send them the link separately so that they're able to send that to people that don't check their email, because sometimes people don't. And I encourage them to send it to people that live out of state, so that they can still order to get more sales for their party, to not just, not people that are just local. Let everybody know about it.
You're talking about like the invite when we create the party?
Yes.
Yes.
And then when we get the party link, I send them the party link by itself so that they're able to just forward that to friends and family all over the U.S. I mean, I've had people that have ordered from different states where they, just get the hostesses more free sparkle. And that's what we love to do.
That's good.
Sounds good.
That's good. Thanks. I like it. Anything else? Other ahas, and we need to let Downey go get under her new blanket.
Happy birthday, Lori.
Oh,
Happy birthday, blanket. Lori, can I ask you what birthday is this? Am I allowed to ask you that?
You can, 48.
Okay.
38.
Uh-huh.
It's 28.
For a long time.
What?
I said, I haven't seen that number for a long time.
Say she's still a baby.
I don't know. My body doesn't feel like I'm a baby anymore.
That's funny.
One thing I would say though, if this was really, really good, this call, and I think host coaching, like, I'll be honest, I looked at the videos in Glam Central. I've looked at them multiple times, but I feel like this is the kind of detail that we need.
Good.
Because with host coaching, you have to get in the weeds, get really better at it, and really figure out, like, what are those little key things that other people are doing that I maybe am not doing, And so this was really good. And I love that visualization
Mm-hmm.
about getting the host to buy in, because that, I mean, that's awesome. Just those three things. And
It's
so
pretty neat.
this is what I think our consultants need for host coaching, this level of detail.
And isn't it interesting? So would you agree then that, you know, when Lynn Conway and Sherry McAllister say that, and Kay Higby say that host coaching is the number one miss in party plan, you can see why that would be. Because there are some things that we could all be doing better to drive the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see them get to this level of detail on Glam Central.
You know, I mean, there's nothing stopping us from doing this as a team.
Right. I think it'd be really helpful to do this, because I mean, this is the best kind of detail level for host coaching, honestly, that I've seen. And honestly, you went through it kind of fast, and I did. I think that presentation, I'd love to be able to soak on that.
Okay. We could do that, and we could actually set up a full 1 hour training for the team where I can take it more slowly. You know, with you all as future leaders, you've got a little bit of seriousness about you, and most of you have experience, but I think I would take it more slowly and really stick to the script, even more so with a less educated or less experienced group, and I think they would get a lot out of it in a full hour.
I sure did.
It would be fun. Well, good. I always enjoy going through it, and I'm glad that I didn't shortchange it. So I'm glad.
I think another area we maybe should focus a little more on, and I know I'm lacking in it, is like following up after the party, following up with the guests and following up with the hostess and whatever, and just kind of building those relationships farther. I know that's something that I don't do near as well as I probably should be. So maybe some tips along that.
Yeah.
Something down the road that, you know, would be helpful for all of us.
That's, you know, sometimes that can be a really good hot topic training on Monday nights too.
Yeah, that's true.
Tomorrow night. So maybe I'll see who would like to spearhead that for a week from Monday. But tomorrow night, the hot topic is going to be sponsoring role playing. And so that'll be pretty fun. And that'll be sort of a precursor, to next Sunday night's call that we'll do in sponsoring / new consultant training, you know, the nexus between those two things. A while back, I was doing, it was probably last year, I had several months in there where I was doing lunch bunch calls where people would get on for 15 or 20 minutes on a Zoom in the middle of the day. Debbie remembers. And we would just do a couple of role play exercises. I would be the consultant, and people would pretend to be their worst nightmare, or whoever it is that they're trying to talk to, you know, at a party or whatever. And I would let them hear what it is. And it's not that I've got it all figured out, but I sometimes have an idea or two, or I hear things differently from the way other people will hear it. And it's funny, we really moved a lot of people forward with that format, and we did it a couple times a week, just in the middle of the day. So I'm considering seriously going back to doing that again, just for a short time, you know, several weeks, to see if we can help some people with that. Yes, it will. So it will. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. It's just great to see your faces and hear your voices. Such a treat. And so this weekend I get to go to San Antonio and see Randy Minjaw's group and Lindsay Tate's group. And then the following week I'll be in Charlotte.
Yay!
Yay! That'll be really fun. And then in December I'm going to be in Florida with Shanna Campbell and a bunch of other people for a future leader training. Future leader.
Whoop, whoop. We can't wait.
I can't wait either. It's going to be so much fun. So anyway, we're keeping it moving, girls. It's all exciting. Oh, and Deb, I might be coming down to see Debbie Pickens in 2 weeks. So we'll see. Crossing fingers. Yep. All right, ladies. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you. I love watching you all and all your successes. Have a great night.
Thanks.